In this tutorial, you will learn how to install and configure VERA. For this, you need to download the VERA installer from www.vera-software.com and have a Microsoft SQL Server 2005 or higher installed. After you have finished the download, please go to the folder in which the VERA installer was saved and start it by double-clicking setup.exe. First, you see a welcome page. Now click on Next to go to the next page that shows you the license agreement. Please read through it, then select I agree and click on the button Next. On the next page, you can choose whether to install VERA Client, VERA Server, or both. For a server installation, you need to install both VERA Server and VERA Client. For a workstation, you choose only the VERA Client. In this tutorial, we will install both modules. After clicking on Next, you can select the folder in which VERA will be installed. As default, the setup will create a folder VERA in your computer's default Program Files folder and install VERA there. You can select a different folder with the button Browse. In the next step, the setup declares that it is ready to install VERA. You can start the installation by clicking on Next. After the installation is finished, the setup opens the VERA server configuration that can be used to basic configuration and licensing VERA. Select the instance Default from the list and click on Configure. In the configuration wizard's first step, you define the connection settings to the database server. Therefore, enter the database server's server name or IP address, the SQL server user, and his password in the specified text fields. The database name is set to VeraDB as default, but you are free to select a different database name. Next, you should click on Test to test if the database connection works. VERA gives you feedback whether the connection could be established and the VERA database was created successfully or not. In the next step, you define an email account that VERA should poll. First, enter your company name. VERA uses the company name to create a competence area and assign the email account to it. On the left-hand side, Receiving Email Account, you define a name for the email account. This name will also be used by VERA as the email account's name in sent emails. Below, you define the email account type. The default type is unencrypted POP3, but you can also select SSL encrypted POP3 or unencrypted or SSL encrypted IMAP4. For details, please contact your email server administrator. Below that, you set the email address that is used to answer emails that have been received from this account. Next, you enter the email server address, the account's username, and password, and define the interval for polling emails. With the checkbox, Leave a copy of messages on the server, you can control if the emails are deleted from the account after polling them or not. Now click on Test to test the account settings. On the right-hand side, Sending Email Account, you define the name for the sending account and select the account type. You can choose between SMTP with or without authentication, both unencrypted or SSL encrypted. Below, you enter the email server address and the account's username and password, if needed. After you completed the settings, click on Test to test the sending connection. If both connection tests are successful, click on Next to get to the user configuration. Here you can define the first users that will work with VERA. Enter the first names, last names, designated usernames, and passwords, and define the roles the user should get. The available roles are Administrator, Team Leader, or Agent, or a combination of these roles. After defining the users, click on Next. In the next page, you see a list of configuration steps that VERA will execute to save your configuration data in the database. Click on Start to start this process. You can see the progress in the upper list. After all steps have been performed successfully, click on Finish to finish the configuration wizard. VERA opens the licensing module now. Here you can enter your license key and activate VERA. Please watch the tutorial Licensing VERA for details.